I'm Beardmohbox and welcome to my new series, The Ultimate Showdown. This is a series where I take two teams filled with players that match a certain criteria and head them against each other. The criteria this week is the tallest players in the NFL versus the smallest players in the NFL. And the franchises I've chosen to represent these two teams are the Broncos for the tallest players, as their stadium stands at 5,280 feet, the highest altitude in the NFL, and the Saints for the smallest team, as their stadium is at a low 3 feet above sea level. And without further ado, let's get into the teams. So as you obviously can tell here with Brock Osweiler, this is of course the tallest team, and Brock Osweiler here, the tallest quarterback by far at 6'8". Moving on to the running back, Latavius Murray at 6'3". Not any other running backs at 6'3". A couple of 6'2" guys, but nobody quite that tall. At fullback we have Will Tukahuafu, probably murdered the name, who's the tallest fullback at 6'4". For the tallest receivers, we have to muddle through a couple of guys still left on the Broncos team, but we have Calvin Johnson at 6'5", and down here, Brandon Coleman at 6'6". On to tight end, where Levine Toilolo is the tallest tight end at 6'8". Over at left tackle, we have King Dunlap at 6'9", with Ramon Foster at 6'6" at left guard, Luke Bowanko at 6'6" at centre, and here at right guard we have a missing guy. This should be Linda from the Jags, but he's injured so I couldn't move him onto the team, so just pretend that Louis Vasquez is Linda. Onto right tackle, where DeMar Dotson at 6'9" is the tallest right tackle in the league. You could probably guess the left end, Calais Campbell, 6'8". And at right end we have Rapati Petoy-Tua. And as we have a 4-3 defense for these guys, we can see here Chris Canty at 6'7", and Tony McDaniel are also 6'7", are our two defensive tackles. Anthony Barr is actually the tallest left outside linebacker at 6'5". Rolando McClain at 6'4" is the tallest middle linebacker amongst a group of other guys that are about that height. And at right outside linebacker, Quinton Coples at 6'6". On to cornerback, where Sean Smith and Brandon Browner make up the two tallest cornerbacks in the league at 6'3" and 6'4" respectively. On to safety, where Taylor Mays is the tallest free safety at 6'3", and finally with strong safety, George Iloka, 6'4". As you can see, the Bengals can draft tall safeties. And don't worry, we haven't forgotten about the kickers and punters. Stephen Hauschka at 6'4" is the tallest kicker in the league, and Johnny Hecker at 6'5" towers above the rest of the punters. On to the Saints, where Russell Wilson is the quarterback for the smallest team, probably to the surprise of few, at 5'11". On to the running back, where, once again to the surprise of very few, Darren Sproles, who is in fact the smallest player in the NFL total, is our running back. Our fullback is Mike Tolbert, standing at a 5'9", and onto the receivers Tavon Austin and Andrew Hawkins at 5'8" and 5'7". Delaney Walker at 6 foot, proving that you do not have to be the tallest guy to be one of the best guys at your position. Charles Leno Jr. here at 6'3" with an accompanying 63 overall. Onto left guard, where Ted Larson at 6'2" is the smallest man here. A.Q. Shipley at 6'1" in centre. Doug Legursky at 6'1" at right guard. And then Willie Colon at 6'3" at right tackle. Charles Johnson making another strong case for the small guys at 6'2" is the left end for this team, and Darryl Tapp at 6'1" is the smallest right end in the league. With the small guys, I thought a 3-4 fits them better, so we only have one defensive tackle, and that is Mike Daniels, standing at exactly 6 foot. Also at 6 foot, we have Vincent Ray at left outside linebacker, Stephen Tulloch at middle linebacker at 5'11", and Malcolm Smith at right outside linebacker at another even 6 foot. At cornerback we have Brandon Flowers and Tim Jennings at 5'9" and 5'8", another strong showing for the small guys. At free safety, of course, Tyrann Mathieu at 5'9", and at strong safety, Shamarko Thomas, also at 5'9", rounds off the defensive players. At kicker we have Kai Forbath, and at punter we've had to move to the Bills because somehow I've not moved him to the Saints. It's Colton Schmidt at 5'11" as well. Now obviously these overalls are not accurate, as we've still got some guys that don't match the tall or small criteria on each of the teams, but the Denver Broncos are currently at 82 overall against the New Orleans Saints 77 overall. seeming to show that tall is better than small. Alright, so join me next week where we pit the fastest players in the NFL against the slowest. If you like this, don't be afraid to give it a thumbs up, and if you really liked it, there's always the subscribe button. I'm making plenty of videos and you may like some of them, because it's important to hear what each one of them has to say. Well, that was fascinating. Alright, let's break these three guys down. The guy on the left, he's put on a nice suit. I appreciate that. The guy in the middle isn't wearing a tie, but we can